Hello guys, my name is Adedoyin Adegbomiwe and you're welcome to my channel. To my new subscribers here, thank you so much for subscribing to my channel, and to my returning subscribers, thank you so much for your continuous support. So today guys, we'll be talking on an important topic titled Nature and Nurture, the impact on juvenile delinquency. Today we'll be looking at how the factor of nature and nurture impacts on juvenile delinquency. One's personality is formed by a combination of both nature, that is the gene, and nurture, which are environmental factors. Those are the factors that shaping one's personality. So today we want to look at how this factor of nature and nurture impacts or influences juvenile delinquency. Nature is gotten from the word natural, which means organic, uninfluenced. Nature refers to genetically obtained characteristics and abilities that influences development and personality formation. Nurture, on the other hand, it refers to the environmental factors that impact or influences development and personality formation. When we talk about nature and nurture, we look at it from these two angles and how it affects or impacts juvenile delinquency. Juvenile delinquency, as we all know already, is an antisocial behavior or a deviance that is exhibited by a child or a juvenile. A juvenile is a child usually within the age range of 10 to 17 years old that performs or exhibits a character or a deviant behavior that, if it was to be an adult, will be criminally punishable. But instead, because the person is a juvenile, what they do is punishable by a special law pertaining to only juveniles. So when we look at nature, nature's effect on juvenile delinquency is that nature means natural. It is uninfluenced. This refers to genetic factors. These are genetic materials or traits or characteristics that are transferred or that are passed down to offsprings. And these genetic materials are gotten from a combination of both parents or one of the individual parents, which are gotten by the offsprings, that shows the tendency for them or likelihood to get involved in juvenile delinquency. A research supports this nature by saying, a research conducted by Bennett et al. In 2007, it showed that looking at the lifespan of children from childhood to adulthood, and it showed that a child has a tendency that it has a tendency or influences the juvenile delinquency. It influences the characteristics or the possibility of a child getting into juvenile delinquency at an adolescent level. This is also supported by a theory through a biological factor by a scientist we call Cicero Lombroso. This scientist looked at nature from a biological angle, and he said that criminality can be inherited. He was of the opinion that you do not need to, you don't need to be influenced before if you are a criminal, you can be a criminal. He was of the opinion that it is a biological characteristic. He was of the opinion that criminality can be inherited. That means to say, if you have perhaps a father or a mother or both parents that have the tendency or the genetic characteristics of criminality, it can be passed down to the offspring. That's what they call born criminal. Like, you don't need an influence to be a criminal. Now he explained this by looking at the physical look and then the behavioral characteristic, that's the gene. He was of the opinion that when you look at parents or parents, yes, two people come together to form an offspring, which is a child. Now, when parents come together, he was of the opinion that when two people come together, the physical look, you can judge, or there's a tendency for a child to be a criminal based on its gene. Where you talk about the physical composition. You look at it talked about the formation. It's a physical formation, that is the way a person looks or a person's stature can determine if the person has the tendency to be a criminal or not. Here he was talking about criminality in general. He was talking about the fact that when you look at some people, that because as a result of a physical defect based on Charles Darwin's theory in the days, he's of the opinion that when you see people that when you want to cite a thief, all you need to do is look at the physical composition that they usually, he mentioned some characteristics that you can see and say this person is a thief. There he talked about when you see somebody that has a broad body, you talk about if you want to see a person, a murderer, look at the person that has a bloodshot eyes. You want to talk about someone that has tendencies of committing sexual offenses, you look at someone with a thick lips, with a big ears, some characteristics like that. So it was of the opinion that when you have a genetic trait, physical, that is and behavioral, that is passed through the offspring, the person has a natural tendency of getting into crime. And so they continued this by saying different body types are prone to to juvenile delinquency. Now there were they mentioned the likes of endomorph, ectomorph, and mesomorph. He was of the opinion that ectomorph, people that have the body shape of an ectomorph, they are people that are usually small statured, they are usually gentle, warm, they are introverted, So he talked about the endomorph, where he talked about people with the body sizes and their characteristics are they are more sociable, more extroverted, more pleasurable, they find pleasure. Why he talked about the mesomorph? So there was this opinion that the mesomorph, they are big statured people, and they are more aggressive, more assertive, and more adventurous genetically, like their makeup. So such people, while growing up as children, because of their intimidating stature, they have a tendency, or they are more prone to getting into juvenile delinquency, and because of their characteristics. Now let's take a look. Some of the people when you look at them, you see individual differences. This is based on the way we are all formed, our genetic makeup, and every other thing. You see some people that naturally they are very warm. Naturally they are very sensitive, they are very timid, they are very they are self-willed. You see some others, they are very adventurous, they are very aggressive, they are naturally greedy, they are naturally stubborn. These people are more prone as children. They've not even been, you just see those traits even as small or as young as they are, and before you know it, those people are more prone. Some children are already assertive as young as they are. You see a child of 1 year old, they're already saying do this, already saying, you can see those tendencies. Those are genetically transmitted or transferable characteristics that has been deposited in that offspring, regardless or in it is not in line with there's no external influence yet on that. It is genetic. That's like the theory that nature is enough, gene is enough to determine or to a criminal, but in this case juvenile delinquency. So yeah, what we're saying in essence is this. It's just like in those days, that's why sometimes when people want to get married in those days, they'll tell you they want to go and trace the family, because they want to, because you read stories of people that they'll tell you in the past the father used to be a thief, the father's father was a thief, the father, and then you're wondering, is it genetically, these things are real. So therefore nature plays a role in how, because It's a shaping characteristics of behavioral traits that are passed down. And so because of some certain behavioral traits, like an assertive person, an aggressive person, an adventurous person can determine or can decide to, is more prone to try out new things and try out things that can, that are more susceptible to juvenile delinquency. And also this, just like intelligence is passed from parents to their offspring, this theory also supports that the nature, that is the genetic transformation of genetic materials or traits, that some people, their kind of genetic makeup, they think with the front of their brain, and so such people, they produce more of an hormone called endorphin, and endorphin is responsible for our emotionality, like the emotional well-being of people. So such people, they are said to be more emotional than others. So when you see somebody that is more emotional, there's likelihood that the rate or the chance at which the person will get involved in juvenile delinquency will be lesser compared to somebody that is not emotional. Because when you are emotional, you are careful of people, you are sensitive, you don't want to do so much because you've got feelings, and so therefore you have feelings for others. But for somebody that is less emotional, he doesn't care. He can decide to do anyhow or anything because he doesn't care. He's not even emotional. He's not sensitive to people's emotion, and he doesn't even mind inflicting pains on others. So therefore, nature, is a factor that influences our a child's or a juvenile's personality formation. So we also look at nurture. Nurture talks about, environmental surrounding factors. And in this case, it looks at both the social factors and the environmental factors. When you talk about the social factors, you talk about the peer pressure, the culture. When you talk about the environmental factors, we're looking at some socioeconomic factors, such as parenting style. You want to talk about, socioeconomic factors such as parent income, the parent's educational level, the parent's apartment type, the parent's marital status, because the parenting style adopted determines if a child will indulge in juvenile delinquency or not. For parents that have they've adopted a parenting style that involves, dialogue, a lot of better relationship with their children, they tend to, provide or expose their children to an atmosphere that is loving, that is warm, that is welcoming. And when a child is, under a such parental style, that they are able to express themselves, that they are able to dialogue with their parents, they are more free to talk about things that bother them. There's this, they feel an environment that is warm, that they feel loved. And love in terms of children's notes is what we call time, is what we call commitment. For you to show your children love, you need to show them commitment. You need to be committed to them. You need to show them sacrifice. You need to show them, give them time, pay them attention. Now, when you look at we talk about the parents' income. When you look at the amount of money the parents make, whether if they are of a low socioeconomic class, like their poverty level, or a high socioeconomic or middle level, it determines if a child will get indulged in juvenile delinquency or not. A child that doesn't have 3 square meals, that cannot go to school, that cannot afford basic needs of life, has more likelihood of getting indulged in juvenile delinquency. And also, when we talk about the parents' marital status, are they divorced? Are they married, divorced, or widowed? A family where the house is divided, that the parents are divorced, has a higher rate or higher chance of likelihood of getting involved in juvenile delinquency compared to a family that is together in unity. All these are factors that affect the rate of chance, that increases the chances or reduces the chances of a child getting involved in juvenile delinquency. Please, parents, guardians, and all, I would like to say this. It's easier to bend a child when a child is still a child. No, for every criminal you see today, nobody just became a criminal. Of course, we have the case of, the nature, whatever. But then, that is not the only factor that shapes a person's personality. It all started. Most times, these things are foundational. When you see a child as young as it's growing, you start to see traces of some negative behaviors. Do well as a parent, as a guardian, to curb this thing, to discontinue this thing on time. Because by the time they get formed and all, it will be difficult to bend them, and it's almost even impossible. So therefore, at the early stage, let's pay attention to the children. Let's pay attention to those juveniles and ensure that you pay enough attention and observe any negative attitude. Do well to discontinue it on time so as to reduce the rate of criminality in the family, in the society, in the family, in the community, and the society at large. Or better still, eradicate it totally. Thank you so much for staying tuned on this video, and I'll see you in my next video where I'll be talking about theories that support juvenile, or theories that are explaining juvenile delinquency. Thank you so much for staying tuned, and please do well to subscribe to my channel. Kindly like, share, and comment, and I'll see you again in my next video. Thank you so much for staying tuned. I love you guys. Bye.